If you're in the market for a laptop of about 16,000 Rand that's gaming, this is probably what you should buy. Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety or Wooks Triple XL. And if you're very connected and aware and following this channel actively, you might realize that I've already reviewed this 15 ARH7. When it first came out, I think quite correctly assumed that it would be one of the best bang for buck gaming laptops. And today we're going to go through all of its features and function sets briefly, more briefly, to tell you why. These things are currently on special with Evetech at 15,999. It comes with a Ryzen 5 7535HS, which is a 6-core 12-thread part. It has a little 660M graphics card on it, which gives it exceptional battery performance, which I'll show you a little bit later. But teamed with that is NVIDIA's 4056 gig. And who knew that the best bang for buck combination of processor and GPU would probably end up being Team Red and Team Green? I know, color me surprised, but it's basically what's happened. This processor in particular gives such good balance between wattage on, I'm just trying to, eke out at the plug, and then a multi-threading performance. If we start with that, if you look at Cinebench as an example, you can get up to 10,500 on the multi-threading. The 9,500 score, which is basically 10% slower, was done in its balanced AI mode. When you run it in that mode, it does run a lot quieter. You're going to get to about, say, 45 decibels on the fans. So if you put it in a set of headphones, even when you're doing a render or something, it's not going to make a lot of noise. It's when you unlock all of that potential with the high performance thermal modes and stuff that you do get that 10% bump, and then you basically max out what this chip can deliver. That's been the default for not only this chassis, but pretty much every chassis I've tested with this particular processor. The other big advantage is that battery life. It can do 9.5 hours worth of continuous video playback. And that's a bit more strenuous than just doing browsing and normal work like spreadsheets, Word, that sort of stuff, Outlook, the general email, etc., etc., etc. That is a little bit lighter. So you should see 11 or going towards 12 hours worth of work. And then you're looking at an IPS monitor. And that's a big plus because it's going to have a lot of eye protection stuff. There's also a new color mode in the Windows 11 24H2 that can automatically change your color depending on the working environment you're in. I think they are coding it for compatibility with Adobe so that it has a flat sRGB. But if you enable it when you watch things like 4K HDR content, it does enhance the colors somewhat and make them a bit more vibrant, which is I like actually quite a lot. Personally, I really do enjoy vibrance, but it's an optional thing that comes with the current Windows distribution. The monitor is also at 120 Hertz. So if you're going to be doing some gaming on this, where, for instance, you can actually use the convolutional model even on the 40 series GPU in Cyberpunk, and it does net you some performance. In default sort of configurations, I'd get to about 90 FPS with this kind of setup with the 4050 6 gig, but with the convolutional model, I saw going over 110 FPS in the exact same test. As you'd expect of a gaming / work laptop like this, the keyboard is fully backlit. It does have a really nice big touchpad as well. It's got all the ports that you would need pretty much. There's just a USB and a headphone jack on the left hand side, another USB on the right hand side, but out the back middle is where all of the magic happens. You've got the two big vents on either side over there, and then in the middle is the port setup. And I love that Lenovo does this because it just makes it that you plug into the Type-C over there into a dock, and then you probably don't even need your charger. If you get a compatible charger for this, something that would be at least 170 watts or better, then it's going to give you full performance and straight into a dock without any extra cables coming out the side of the notebook. It's also really easy to upgrade, which is a big plus. I've opened up a laptop that had multiple subframes and multiple daughter boards recently, and it was not a good time. This is a lot more straightforward than that. If you look around the bottom, the actual backplate comes off. This little shroud that sits around the back of the notebook, that slides off. There's a couple of screws around the outside, and you're into the internals, and then you can upgrade your RAM and your SSD really, really easily. The spec you'd be buying is the spec that I've tested here as well. There's two 8GB DIMMs in here giving you dual channel performance, which is also important. That's like a 10 to 15% performance boost in of itself, but it's also got a pretty decent 512GB NVMe. It does look like it's an entry level Gen 4 because it managed to go over 3700 megabytes per second on the read speed. The write speed is a little bit slower, but you're not going to be, I think, doing a lot of writing to this. It's more reading once you've installed the game. It's then going to be reading off of the SSD. So read speeds are a little bit, I would say, more important overall. All of that then for 15,999, it does make this quite a lot of notebook for the money. This will give you really good multi-threading performance, like we've seen over 10,500 on Cinebench. That's better than a first gen 8-core Ryzen now in a laptop that's using considerably less power. It's overall runs pretty cool, calm and collected. There is a performance boost, so you can get just the absolute maximum out of the product. And another big plus is in the new version of the Lenovo Vantage, they're even letting you overclock the 4050. So you can add a little bit more to the RAM and to the core speed if there's temperature headroom. I put this on a CoolPad for a CoolPad review, which I did late last week, and it basically just guaranteed me extra performance, which is a kind of a big plus, even in the same thermal modes. So yeah, if you attach this to a dock, slap a little CoolPad underneath it, but then when you're on the go, you're still getting like basically 95% of the performance without an absolute turbine going off next to you. They've done well. You can see why I consistently recommend Lenovo at the moment, pretty much over everything else. Whether it's Ideapad 3, Gaming 3 like this, a Lock or a Legion 5 Pro, they are pretty much my favorite chassis at the moment. Anywho, that's all I've got for you on this Lenovo Ideapad Gaming 3. If you want to see more, check the links down below. We do have some links over there for AMD so that you can see the other features and functions of the processor. Until next time, I hope you guys stay safe, keep well, and I will see you on the flip side.